Well, for the first time, it's really easy. It's not easy, but it's possible to make your own content end to end. And so now you, me, anyone can visualize 100% of their vision without compromise. And so that opens up, that's a creativity unlock that I think everyone should be excited about, because no matter where you are now, what access you have to equipment or other people with expertise or big markets or networks or investors, you don't need any of that. Well, I think there's going to be an explosion of storytelling coming from the individual level. I'm excited for the individual creators everywhere that just didn't really have the access before, and now you have a shot.
Welcome to the Feria TechCast. I'll bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Today we are joined by Erich Archer, an Emmy Award-winning AI video specialist and creative innovator with nearly 2 decades of experience at the intersection of storytelling and cutting-edge technology. As the creator of Smarty Pants, an ecosystem of over 100 custom AI tools, Eric empowers businesses and creators to harness the full potential of generative AI for content creation and strategic problem solving. His groundbreaking projects like the AI-driven short film RUFUS and The First Artist push the boundaries of how technology can humanize history and redefine visual storytelling. So, Eric, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Ezekiel. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. You are the creator of Smarty Pants, a revolutionary ecosystem of over 100 custom AI tools. So please tell us about Smarty Pants and how it started and what it is used for, or who is it
Sure.
for?
Well, initially, I started making custom GPTs in Chat GPT for myself for a number of different business use cases that I had. And then I started to see a way that I could make custom GPTs for everyone to take care of and assist with uh, business decisions using very well known frameworks and mental models for business decision making. So I created what are now more than 200 custom GPTs, which are little individual frameworks for different types of decisions, from communications to operations to creative development, all kinds of different things. And basically you can engage with these tools and it will sort of tease out of you the information that it needs and then help you process it in a way that you're looking for. Yeah, I put all these tools into a sort of a whiteboard interface. And so through a single link, you can access all these different tools and you can poke your way around and see what might apply to you. But if you're trying to start a business, or you're a single founder or small team or something like that, or maybe you're a new business owner and you're not really very experienced, which was a experience that I had where at one point I was a manager for the first time and I didn't know a lot of the frameworks for uh, thinking through things strategically, um, or just understanding how to analyze different things. And so I learned these things along the way and they were very useful to me. So I just wanted to put these same kind of tools out there using this new technology. So it wound up being very easy to do. I'm not a coder or anything, but this new AI technology seemed very accessible. And I figured out this new way to do it, which are these custom GPT tools. So you can kind of converse with these little chat bots that'll perform like a SWOT analysis for you, or another type of sort of business framework.
Amazing. So, your career is a fascinating journey from producing major network TV shows to building an ecosystem of AI tools. What was the pivotal moment that made you dive headfirst into AI and see its potential for storytelling?
Well, ChatGPT was such an obvious resource for someone in my position who's running a small company and doing creative work that involves research and writing and creative development and strategy and planning and all the things that ChatGPT can do so well, it became very clear to me once I started using it a few years ago, that it was going to be a major resource to me, uh, which is great. I work for a small nonprofit, so it's like I need all the resources I can get. And then Midjourney came out also, and I could see that I could make cinematic images out of nowhere. And that was obviously going to have major implications in the industry that I'm in as well, which is a visual medium, image and video. So the fact that I could now just prompt a image that was beautiful, widescreen, cinematic looking image was was profound and remains that way. It's between the two, it really threw me into AI completely.
All right, so let's go into some details. What does your Smarty Pants tool ecosystem look like under the hood? And how do you architect these custom GPTs to work together seamlessly for a creative workflow?
So it's modular in that each GPT does one specific small task, and they all perform the task that they do in the same way. I figured out a template for making chatbots work this way when you give them a very strict set of parameters and you tell them to behave a certain way and you give them the knowledge that they need. And then the whole idea is that it's a Q&A. And so if you want to use this business framework, it's going to engage you in a question and answer and starts to get all the context out of you that it needs to be able to perform the processing. And then it's really just copy and paste at that point. I did make a kind of a concierge that is aware of all of the GPTs around it. So you could ask it, what one to go use if you have a particular problem, but it's very much like it's very portable. You're taking your information from one. Ideally, you're going back to work with the information you have now, but you could also I've created sequences of them so you can take the output of one and bring it to another as the input of another. And by sequencing these things, you can do things like that are a little bit more complex and still, because it's modular, maintain a lot of the control and consistency that you would want.
Well, that sounds like a really streamlined workflow. So let's talk a bit about your short AI film, Rufus. It's about a 19th century Cooper. So that's such a specific human story. So can you walk us through the tech stack for a project like that? Like what AI tools handled what parts, the scripts, the visuals, the narrations?
Sure. Yeah, that was my first AI project. And so it was using some of the earliest tools, one that's not even around anymore. But I was doing a lot of image generation in Midjourney and, based on a lot of Google image searching that I was doing, learning about this period of time and this occupation and what it all looked like in this area, that imagery existed, but I didn't own it or have access to it. And so I made my own using Midjourney based on these images. And then I made a custom GPT of the main character, an ancestor of mine, to be able to sort of simulate a conversation with him and learn about him and use that interaction to create the voiceover with 11 labs. And so it's AI voiceover scripted from a combination of my research with Perplexity about his time and era and everything, and everything else I had gathered. So I think the only thing that wasn't AI was music, but it was very much like a comment on where the state of the art was at the time, which was basically we could now make Ken Burns style documentaries, very simple imagery, very simple camera movements, but excellent storytelling. That was that was possible all of a sudden. Um, and everything was just edited in Adobe Premiere.
A huge fear among creators is that AI will homogenize art. So, from your unique vantage point, how can these tools actually help creators develop a more distinct and personal voice rather than a less one?
Well, for the first time, it's really easy. It's not easy, but it's possible to make your own content end to end. And that's because you can generate the content and then you can edit that together. You can generate images, turn those images into videos, generate all your audio, sound effects, voiceover, music, edit it all together and distribute it online. And so now you, me, anyone can um, visualize 100% of their vision without compromise. And so that opens up, that's a creativity unlock that I think everyone should be excited about, because no matter where you are now, what access you have to equipment or um, other people with expertise or big markets or networks or, investors, you don't need any of that. You can just, for the cost of some software and you have to learn how to use the tools, but suddenly you can do whatever creative project you want. And if at that point you're still making boring, lazy stuff, that's on you. But, I think most people never have the opportunity to make their own creative work in their complete creative vision. That's a very difficult thing to ever get to do. And now anyone could do it, just about. So I think that's super cool and a great thing for creativity.
Amazing. So, you've worked with both sides, using off the shelf AI tools and building your own. So, what was a specific creative problem that existing tools couldn't solve, which led you to build a custom solution for it?
Well, the custom tools that I have made have really been about having trying to kind of put a wrapper around my own way I want to do something, whether it is process information or create a aesthetic. Uh, I have a way I want to do it. And now I can work with some of these tools to make it that way. So you can make a custom image model. Like if you start to make a style of image that you're very happy with, you can now train your own image model to make just that style, which is great. You can do a similar thing with these custom GPT tools where if there's a way that you want information to be processed, you can now make a tool to process information that way. So, like if you have to write a monthly report and you want to, and so you have to do this constant processing of like, you have to take in whatever information happened that month and you have to process it into this template for this report every month. You can now build a tool that will do that for you, because you need it processed a certain specific way. And so you can tell this tool, this is exactly how I need you to process this information. This is what I'm going to give you as an input. This is the kind of output I need. Here's some examples. And there you go. And it will then do that for you. And so whether it's text or image, that's sort of how I think about it. If I'm going to make something of my own, it's like I have a very specific way I want it done. And can I easily make a tool that will do it that way?
Fantastic. So, in traditional filmmaking, there is a clear pipeline. In AI assisted creation, that pipeline is actually being reinvented daily, if I'm to put it that way. So, what does a typical R&D or experimentation session look like for you when you are testing the limits of the new generative tool?
Good question. A lot of the production pipeline remains the same. We're still making videos at the end of the day, and that is a collection of smaller videos, which come from still images. So, the process is still starting in pre-production where you're doing research, gathering a lot of reference material, trying to figure out your prompts that are working for you. Um, and then what type of visuals does your project call for, because some platforms are better at certain things than others. So having a general sense of what platforms do what is helpful. because your project will have a specific need and not every tool is right for that project. And so a lot of the time it's you know, which tool is right for this project, and then doing some experimentation with that tool around your project needs to see if it's feeling right. You know, let me do a little bit of spec stuff here with this tool that I think is right for this project and see if I can come up with a couple assets that feel like this is directionally correct. You know, and then if that's the case, what's it going to cost me to get into this platform at a power user level and get out all the high resolution outputs that I'm going to need? And then, you know, doing things like mood boards and storyboards, which are much more dynamic now. You can actually like create in them. You can collaborate in them. There's a number of different uh, storyboarding tools that have emerged that are really helpful. And so you can really visualize your ideas really well. And then I sort of save the image. I do image to video typically, so I'm generating images first, and I kind of have a few favorites for that: Midjourney, Flora, Weavy, um, and then doing image to video with whatever tools are sort of best at the time. There are a number of different tools that will aggregate other tools, so you can try different ones against each other. Um, but it's very much project based. Like, what does this project need? And so I recommend, even if it's a personal project, find one so that your learning has context and parameters and restrictions, so that you can kind of focus your learning. No one project is going to teach you all of it. It's a pretty fractured environment in terms of the tools and what they can do and stuff. So focus on what you want to accomplish, and then what would help you accomplish that.
Wonderful. So, can you share a story or technical, in quotes, happy accident where you were using an AI tool for one purpose and it produced a completely unexpected result that was better than you had planned?
Yeah, that happens a lot. To the point now that I really try to encourage people to make space for that, because very often the outputs will be different than you intended, but still really interesting and, you know, can be very useful. And so working with these tools is a really fine balance between your own vision and, you know, what you're going to get back. It's kind of like working with a director of photography. You know, you have to kind of allow for this other creative vision. And in this case, it's these platforms, and you're trying to prompt your way or bring in images to get what you want. Um, but I was working on a skateboarding piece recently, and the AI had the skateboarder sort of morph into the environment in this really interesting way, kind of like skated into the ramp and the graffiti that was on it and everything. And it was just really cool. And so I used it. And that kind of thing happens all the time.
Oh, that was interesting. So, for the enthusiasts and professionals in our audience, what is one accessible or low-cost AI video tool or technique that they could actually start experimenting with today to add a new dimension to their projects?
I would say jump into Midjourney and or Flora. I think those two platforms are excellent. They're powerful. They have a little bit of a learning curve, but that's not a bad thing. You know, it shouldn't be too easy. You should need to get in there and have to tinker and make some mistakes, but it won't take you too long, and you'll start to understand what's possible once you get in there and play. So come up with a project and then dive into those tools, and all along the way, use a large language model as your assistant. From the very beginning, set up a project in ChatGPT that this is the conversation that I'm going to have about this project, and I'm going to come back to it every single time. We're going to develop the idea together, the shot list together, the prompts together. Have your LLM assistant come with you from the very beginning, and it will be a great assistant tool for learning the other tools or developing your idea, all that kind of stuff.
Great. So, as the executive director of a public TV station, you have a foot in both the non-profit community world and the high tech AI space. So, how are you using these AI tools to empower local storytellers who don't have Hollywood budgets?
Yeah, I mean that's really what this is exciting. It's one of the main reasons why it's so exciting is because it's brought this new capability down to the individual grassroots level. And so we're very excited here at the nonprofit community level to get our hands on these tools that are again just a great resource. It's like getting a new camera or something where it's just all of a sudden you have more capability. And so we're doing a lot of training of the community. We're trying to partner with schools and senior centers and chambers of commerce and things like that to try to help people learn this because it's very clear that whether you're a big shot at a big commercial company or, you know, a little fish, you would benefit from incorporating AI into your professional life. So we are trying to do that in a hurry.
Looking at the near future, what is one capability in AI video that is just on the horizon that will completely change the game for creators and developers?
I think lip sync improvement and better camera control, a little bit longer clips, things like that will make a huge difference. Really, the lip syncing is still pretty unrealistic looking. It's a real giveaway. And the camera controls aren't as um, I don't have as much control as I would like. If you watch TV, you see a lot of really interesting camera movement that you can't really accomplish with these tools yet. Um, and then longer clips. It's difficult to have a longer clip, although you can do it a couple different ways. But when those things become really easy, I think we'll be making movies. Like watchable stuff where you're not picking out all the frames that don't look right and calling out all the AI mistakes because they won't be there. It'll be watchable, you know. And then can we get performances to be emotional? Also, is that a real actor thing or a hybrid thing, or can AI do that? We'll see.
So, your work proves that AI is not just a disruptor, but an enabler of deeper creativity. So, how do you see the role of the human creator evolving in the next 5 years as these tools become even more powerful?
Well, I think there's going to be an explosion of storytelling coming from the individual level. I think every visual storyteller will be leveling up because they'll be capable of more, both quality and quantity. So uh, I think there's going to be just a crazy amount of content coming out, but a lot of it will really be excellent. And that's exciting. I'm excited for the individual creators everywhere that just didn't really have the access before. And now you have a shot. You're going to have to make really high level work to stand out because there's going to be a lot of noise, a lot of content. But, if this is the kind of stuff that you like to do, it's a really exciting time to be alive.
Great. Your entire career is a masterclass in innovating at the intersection of art and technology. So, in the context of storytelling and content creation, what does innovation truly mean to you? I'd like to hear the meaning of the word innovation from the way you see it.
Well, I think and thank you, by the way. But I just try to always make sure with each project, it has a unique, creative, personal stamp on it. I think that is innovation in my eyes, in my line of work is can you, no matter what project it is, can you make it uniquely yours, uniquely creative? How can you put that stamp on it, even if it's just another, who, what, when, where, why business promo? Even if that's all it is, how can you innovate in a creative way to show me that in a way that grabs my attention, gets me excited, gets me emotional, you know? So just, what's that layer of interest that is uniquely yours? I think that is where uh, I always do best, when I make things really uniquely mine. And I think that will be true for anyone else.
Wonderful. So, finally, for our listeners who are inspired to see your films or explore your custom AI tools, where is the best place for them to follow your work or connect with you?
Thank you. I have a portfolio website called cgacreative.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn almost every day. It's Erich Archer, Eric Archer on LinkedIn. And I'm engaging there all the time. So you can feel free to reach out.
All right, Eric, it's been a really great conversation with you, and I am excited to have you on the show today.
Thanks, Ezekiel. I really appreciate the opportunity and the kind words.